Good morning. My name is Jimmy Yashar. My topic for today is a fair tax. I want to start by asking how many of you did your taxes last year? How many of you had to pay Uncle Sam tax last year? How many of you can do the taxes on your own without using uh, companies like H&R Block and so forth? How many of you know what form to use for different deductions? That's the reason I use these topics, because our tax system is very complicated and it's broken. Uh, John Elmer Lander, American politician who was a member of House of Representatives from 1999 to 2011, back in 1999 in July, presented a change of tax system in the United States. But meanwhile, back in 2003, a group of known as American for Fair Taxation developed a Fair Tax Act of 2003. Based on fairtax.org, the fair tax is a national sales tax that introduces 23% national sales tax on the goods and services that you purchase. Under the current system, the tax bracket is about 15% plus 7.65% for payroll tax. That brings it up to 23%, and that's why these people introduces the 23%. Basically, we're not increasing the revenue of the government. Nobody will pay extra taxes. The tax estate rate, it will stay the same, except the fair tax will eliminate the IRS. There will be no IRS to deal with. I personally had to face the complicated tax system in 2017, because in 2017 I was contacted by letter from IRS that they want to audit me for business travel expenses that I claimed in 2015. As you can imagine, I was kind of aggravated. At the same time, I was worried where I'm going to find all the documents. Going back to the storage and looking for all the documents that I had for 2015, I'll find majority of the document, but I had a few receipts that it was faded. So I had to contact my credit card, my banks, trying to get a copy of those receipts. Finally, after weeks or even months after researching and getting all the documents, I finally came out with the documentation that I sent to IRS. And at that point, after 3 months, IRS contacted me and sent me a demand letter that I owe $998 that I need to pay by the due date. Otherwise, there is a penalty, late fee, interest, and so forth. I was so aggravated. I said, it got to be a better system than this, that we all can, as Americans, that we can use. And I'm sure every one of you are facing some kind of aggravation with the income tax. Why? Because after all, when the tax time comes, just like right now in March, and the due date, the last day is April 15, unless you are applying for extension, you got to come up and look for your W-2 forms if you're working. If you have a home, you got to come up with a mortgage, a student loan, you got to get the documentation. If some of you all have working on a side for your own, you got to come up with all the expenses that you do, mileage, entertainment, to be able. Then you got to make a call for somebody, some friends or organization that they can actually do your taxes. Then you got to go sit down at the end, depends on how many forms they use. Like last year, I paid $750 for tax preparation. And plus I had to pay some money to Uncle Sam. So we are facing some kind, to a degree, some kind of aggravation. Fair tax will get rid of all those things. I will get 100% of my paycheck from the employer. Nothing be deducted. Not a payroll tax, not a Medicare tax, not a federal income tax. Whatever I make, the company would pay me, and I'd be in charge of my own. So that brings me to the point, what fair tax brings to the table. Number one, getting rid of the corporate tax will make the economy grow, and we're all going to be benefiting from it. Second, all the money that they are in offshore, that the companies are keeping not to pay any kind of tax, will be bring to the United States, create more jobs, increase production, factories, manufacturing, and so forth. And third, all the people that are visiting the United States will pay the national sales tax because they'll be able to bring, they have to eat, they have to buy clothing, they have to use services, so they're going to be paying that 23% tax rate that the fair tax would offer. And that's beside all those things, the other thing that brings to the table is the jobs that people are not paying, like a drug dealers, that there is no tax, income tax they are paying. Prostitution, for example, all the companies that, all the people that in the United States that they are getting paid cash because they're not supposed to work in the United States, be able to, they still eat or pay for services, so they be able to pay, contribute to the system. So going back to the corporate tax is one of the things that corporations for the last 30 years, they've been trying to escape the corporate tax. As soon as the president started talking about, I'm going to be raising the corporate tax, companies, the Fortune 500, they start thinking about, I'm going to take my manufacturing to overseas. And we have seen it. Walmart, Nike, Apple, if you look at their products or in the stores, you see it's all made in India, China, Malaysia, Vietnam, Philippines. These are the jobs that is being taken manufacturing to overseas. And we take the hit on corporation leaving the United States because I'm sure some of you may have seen a person or you know a person that they lost their job because the corporation has left due to manufacturing or the services that they have gone to another countries. In summary, fair tax would eliminate the corporate tax. Companies have no reason to move their corporation to overseas. They're going to be benefiting. They're going to invest in the economy. It would get rid of their corporate tax. The second point that fair tax would actually offer is the offshore. There are about 2.1 trillion, not a billion, not a million, $2.1 trillion of the companies offshore because they don't want to pay any kind of tax in the United States. What that investor would do, they bring the money back because there is not going to be any taxes. And then that money that brings back to the United States, that will put to the manufacturing, to the services, and that will create jobs for every single people in the United States, a better rate of the income. And people, for example, a General Electric made $27.5 billion that has corporation or has its offices overseas, and is still claim a tax refund from the United States of $3.1 billion that IRS paid back to the to the General Electric, I'm sorry. Apple made $74 million in services and products that they have services overseas, but all they did is they paid zero taxes. So that brings up to the last point of the review is that people visiting the United States. In 2017, 76.9 million people from other countries visited the United States based on the information came from the terrorism from the American from 2017. All those people did not contribute anything except the local sales tax on food, services, hotels. With a 23% fair tax, that would actually bring more income to the revenue, to the government, so we can benefit, every individual, we can benefit more of the services. At the conclusion, I want to say, please think out of the box for the sales tax, and thank you for your attention.